Every single day, life throws moments at us that shake our patience and disturb our inner calm. Maybe it's a traffic jam when you're already running late, a colleague whose habits drive you up the wall, or your phone dying right in the middle of something important. But these small frustrations aren't really the problem. The real question is, how do we respond to them? Because it's our responses, not the situations themselves, that define the quality of our days and the direction of our lives. Today we're going to explore one of the most powerful and time-tested philosophies ever known, Stoicism. This isn't just ancient theory. It's a practical system of thinking that can help you not merely survive life's daily chaos, but actually grow through it. By the time this video ends, you'll walk away with a clear understanding of why Stoicism has shaped some of the greatest minds in history, and more importantly, you'll have real, actionable tools you can start using today to build a more peaceful, resilient version of yourself. So let's begin this journey together, into a philosophy that teaches us to master our reactions, find our calm, and become better human beings in the process. If this resonates with you, please hit subscribe and make sure you watch till the end. Every part of this matters. Let's start with something honest. Everyone gets angry. It doesn't matter how spiritual, wise, or composed a person is. Anger is a fundamental part of the human experience, and that's completely okay. What Stoicism adds to this conversation is something truly powerful. You may not always be able to prevent anger from arising, but you absolutely have the ability to choose what happens next. This is where the philosophy becomes transformative. The great Stoic thinkers, Epictetus and Marcus Aurelius among them, consistently pointed out that emotions don't come from events. They come from how we judge those events. Think about that for a moment. When someone cuts you off in traffic and you feel that surge of anger, it's not actually the other driver causing it. It's your belief that your path should be clear, that other people should drive respectfully, that you shouldn't have to deal with this. The anger lives in the judgment, not the incident. Once you understand this, everything changes. You can start asking yourself in those heated moments, what assumption am I making right now? Could I be seeing this differently? This isn't about pretending you're not angry. It's about getting curious about your anger. And that curiosity is where real emotional growth begins. There's also a deeper benefit here. When we acknowledge that anger is natural for us, we naturally extend that understanding to others too. Empathy grows. We become less reactive and more compassionate, both toward ourselves and toward the people around us. This might be the single most liberating idea in all of Stoic philosophy. And it sounds simple, but its impact is enormous. Stop spending energy on things outside your control. Marcus Aurelius wrote about this extensively. His core message was that you have genuine control over three things: your thoughts, your choices, and your actions. That's it. Other people's behavior, the weather, circumstances at work, the past, the future, these are largely beyond your reach. And yet, how much of our frustration comes from fighting exactly these things? Here's the shift Stoicism asks you to make. Instead of fixating on what others are doing wrong or what circumstances are unfair, redirect that energy inward. Ask, what is within my power here? Say you're collaborating on a group project and one team member isn't contributing. You can't force them to work harder. That's outside your control. But you can control how you address the situation. A calm conversation about expectations, a restructuring of responsibilities, a decision about how you personally show up. By focusing there, you reduce your frustration and actually move toward a solution. The same logic applies to that traffic jam. You didn't create it. You can't dissolve it, but you can turn on something that calms your mind, use the time to think through your day, or simply breathe. Over time, consistently applying this principle builds a mindset that isn't easily rattled, because you know exactly where your power lies and you're not wasting it elsewhere. Mindfulness and Stoicism are natural companions. Both are rooted in the same essential practice, being present, aware, and intentional rather than reactive and automatic. When something upsets you, there's usually a fraction of a second between the trigger and your reaction. Mindfulness is the practice of expanding that space. The more you cultivate it, the more choice you have in how you respond. Instead of snapping back at someone who irritated you, you notice the surge of emotion, observe it, and then decide how to respond in a way that actually reflects who you want to be. Incorporating mindfulness doesn't have to be complicated. One of the simplest methods is breath awareness. The next time you feel anger or anxiety building, deliberately slow your breathing down. Deep, intentional breaths do something physiological. They interrupt the stress response and bring you back to the present moment. Another practice is what you might call full presence attention. Pick something ordinary, your morning tea, a short walk, washing your hands, and give it your complete focus. Notice everything: the temperature, the sensation, the sounds around you. This may seem trivial, but it trains your mind to be present. And a present mind is far less likely to be hijacked by reactive emotions. Stoicism also reminds us that emotions, like everything else, are temporary. Mindfulness helps us experience this truth directly. You're angry? Okay, notice it, name it, and know that it will pass, just as every emotion before it has passed. You are not your anger. It is simply a weather pattern moving through you. One of the most profound and peaceful realizations a person can arrive at is this: nothing lasts forever. Not your pain, not your problems, not your frustration, but also not your joy, your comfort, or your current circumstances. Everything is in motion. Everything is changing. Stoics embrace this truth as a source of strength rather than sadness. When you internalize the impermanence of things, the grip that negative experiences have on you loosens. You stop clinging so tightly to how things should be and start flowing more gracefully with how things actually are. We often feel the most anger when reality doesn't match our expectations. A plan falls through, a relationship changes, something we counted on disappears. Our instinct is to resist, to push back, to stay upset. But Stoicism asks us, what if you accepted the change instead? What if you trusted that even this disruption is part of a larger movement that you don't yet fully see? There's real freedom in this. When you look back at moments in your life where things didn't go the way you wanted, often with enough distance, you can see how those detours led somewhere meaningful. Impermanence works in every direction. To build this awareness, pay attention to natural cycles. Watch how seasons transition. Notice how your own moods shift throughout a single day. These quiet reminders that change is constant can slowly reprogram how you relate to disruption, not as a threat, but as a natural rhythm of living. Most people react to their emotions. Stoics study them. The Stoic approach to emotional life isn't about suppression, it's about inquiry. Every strong feeling, anger, anxiety, jealousy, sadness, is pointing to something. A belief you hold, a value that feels threatened, a fear you haven't examined. When you learn to ask why you feel what you feel, you gain an entirely different relationship with your inner world. Take a simple example. Someone interrupts you during a conversation and you feel irritated. Why? Is it because you feel dismissed? Because you believe your words aren't valued? That irritation is a doorway. Walk through it, and you might discover something important about what you need or what you believe about yourself. The Stoics taught that since our emotions stem from our judgments, and since our judgments can be examined and revised, we have far more emotional agency than most people realize. Ask yourself, is what I'm believing right now actually true? Is it helping me? Sometimes just asking the question is enough to dissolve the intensity of the feeling. Journaling is one of the most effective tools for this kind of self-exploration. Writing out what you feel and why, without judgment, creates a kind of emotional clarity that's hard to achieve any other way. Patterns emerge. Triggers become visible, and over time this process builds genuine emotional intelligence. Talking to someone you trust works too. A good conversation has a way of illuminating things we couldn't see on our own. Whether it's a mentor, a close friend, or even a therapist, sharing what we feel often transforms how we feel it. Stoicism reframes patience in a way that makes it genuinely powerful. Patience isn't passive endurance. It's an active practice of virtue. It's not just about waiting, it's about who you choose to be while you wait. Life is filled with delays, frustrations, and things that simply don't move at our preferred speed. A slow checkout line, a project that's taking longer than expected, a conversation that's testing every nerve you have. These aren't problems to be eliminated. For a Stoic, they're opportunities, moments to practice staying grounded. One practical shift is to recalibrate your expectations. Much of our impatience comes from expecting the world to operate on our schedule. When we accept that delays are a natural feature of life rather than personal insults, we stop being surprised by them, and therefore less irritated. Another approach is to use moments of waiting productively. Stuck in traffic? Listen to something worthwhile. Waiting in a queue? Breathe, observe, reflect. This reframes waiting from wasted time into reclaimed time. Mindfulness once again plays a crucial role here. When you're fully present, the urgency that fuels impatience loses its grip. And the Stoic reminder that this too shall pass, that all difficult moments are temporary, gives patience a philosophical foundation to rest on. Acknowledge your progress too. When you manage to stay calm in a situation that would typically set you off, that's a genuine win. Recognize it, celebrate it quietly. These small victories compound over time. Forgiveness might be one of the most misunderstood concepts in personal growth. It is not about excusing what someone did. It is not about pretending the harm didn't happen. It is about refusing to let someone else's past actions continue to damage your present peace of mind. In Stoic terms, carrying a grudge is allowing an external event to maintain control over your internal state. And that goes against everything Stoicism stands for. Your tranquility is yours to protect. Forgiveness is one of the ways you protect it. This requires emotional honesty. Your hurt and anger are valid. Acknowledge them fully. But then ask, how long do I want to carry this? At some point, the weight of resentment cost more than the release would. A helpful Stoic reframe is to remember that every person, including those who have hurt us, is fallible. We are fallible too. When we reflect on our own mistakes, the times we acted out of ignorance, fear, or self-interest, it becomes easier to extend some of that understanding to others. Meditation can assist in this process. Sitting quietly, focusing on the breath, and consciously directing thoughts of release towards someone you're holding anger about doesn't mean you're endorsing what they did. It means you're choosing your own peace over your grievance. And remember, forgiveness unfolds in layers. You don't have to arrive at complete peace overnight. Each small step toward letting go is meaningful. Each moment you choose not to replay the resentment is progress. Self-control is the foundation that all the other lessons rest upon. Without it, none of the others are sustainable. At its core, self-control is the ability to pause, to create space between impulse and action. That pause is where your values live. That pause is where you decide who you actually want to be, rather than who your emotions are pushing you to be. The Stoics believed that daily reflection was essential for strengthening this capacity. Each evening, take a few minutes to review your day honestly. Where did you exercise self-control well? Where did you fall short? What triggered it? This kind of reflection isn't self-criticism, it's self-knowledge. And self-knowledge is how we improve. Setting clear personal standards also helps. Decide in advance how you want to behave in certain types of situations, during arguments, under stress, when you're tired or hungry. When you've already decided, the decision doesn't have to be made in the heat of the moment. Visualization is another powerful technique. Before walking into a challenging situation, mentally rehearse yourself handling it with calm and dignity. The mind doesn't always distinguish well between vivid imagination and real experience. So this mental rehearsal actually prepares your nervous system for the real thing. The Stoics also advocated voluntary discomfort. Small, deliberate challenges to build willpower. Cold showers, skipping a meal occasionally, resisting a craving, not as punishment but as training. These small acts of discipline reinforce the belief that you are capable of more than your impulses, and that belief carries over into every area of your life. You will have setbacks. That's not failure. That's being human. What matters is that you notice them, understand them, and keep moving forward. Every act of self-control, however small, is a quiet confirmation that you are the author of your own life, not its victim. Stoicism isn't a philosophy for a perfect world. It's a philosophy built for the imperfect one we actually live in. These 8 lessons aren't meant to be mastered overnight. They're meant to be practiced, returned to, and slowly woven into how you live. Start with one, apply it today, and notice what begins to shift.